my ex wouldn't accept our breakup, so I disappeared from our entire friend group and let him explain why. When I ended things with Jake after 2 years, he said he understood. He didn't. The first sign was him showing up at my gym. He'd never worked out there before. He waved from the treadmill like it was a coincidence. I switched to morning classes. He started coming in the mornings. Then he joined my book club, the one I'd been in for 3 years before we even met. He sat next to me and acted like everything was normal. When I pulled him aside after, he said, "We can still be friends, right? I love reading." He'd never finished a book in the 2 years we dated. I told him he needed to give me space. He said I was being cold. That breakups didn't mean you had to cut someone out completely. I said, "Jake, this isn't space. This is stalking." He laughed and said, "Don't be dramatic. We have mutual friends. I'm allowed to exist." A month later, I was at my friend Sarah's birthday dinner. I walked into the restaurant and froze. Jake was already there, sitting at the head of the table. Sarah looked uncomfortable. She whispered, "He messaged me saying you two were cool now and he didn't want to miss my birthday." I told her we weren't cool. I left before appetizers arrived. Jake texted me that night. "That was childish. You can't avoid me forever. We have the same friends." That's when I realized he was right. Every friend I had, he'd infiltrated. Every space I occupied, he'd claimed. I could keep running, or I could disappear completely. I spent a week making calls, private calls, to my real friends, the ones who'd actually listen. I told them what was happening. Some believed me immediately. Others needed convincing. I showed them the texts, the coincidental appearances, the pattern. Then I deleted everything. Instagram, Facebook, Twitter. I told my real friends I was taking a social media break and gave them my new number. I blocked Jake on everything. I quit the gym, dropped the book club, and started going to places on the opposite side of town. For 2 weeks, nothing. Then Sarah called. She said, "Jake's been asking everyone where you are. He showed up at my place last night demanding to know if you'd moved. He's telling people you're having a breakdown." I said, "Let him." The next day, I showed up to Sarah's place with screenshots. Every text he'd sent, every time he'd coincidentally appeared. I laid it out like evidence. She stared at the timeline. She said, "This is actually terrifying." I said, "Now imagine explaining to people why I vanished. Because that's what he's been doing, right?" She nodded. She said, "He's making you sound crazy." I said, "Watch what happens when people ask him why I felt the need to disappear." It took 3 days. Jake tried to organize a group intervention for me. He sent out a message to our mutual friends saying I'd cut everyone off and needed help. But Sarah had already started talking. Then Emily. Then Marcus. One by one, people started asking Jake questions. Why was he at her gym? Why did he join her book club? Why did he show up to places after she'd specifically asked for space? Jake's story fell apart. The final message I got was from him. Just 2 words. "You win." I didn't respond. That was 7 months ago. I rebuilt everything on my terms. New gym, new hangouts, new routines. The friends who mattered followed me out. The ones who didn't, I didn't need. Jake still has our old friend group, but now they all know exactly why I left and why I never came back.